versus King. Jund Delirium's a deck, despite it having a Grand Prix win, we really haven't seen too much of it since that.
Yeah, we see a lot of other players just playing different builds of the similar strategy, more biased towards the Elder Deep Fiends and the Distended Mindbender decks.
So we're underway. King on the play, Hoogland on a 6-card hand. It's a pair of Prairie Streams for King. Jeff gets a Swamp.
Another powerful thing you're losing out on your Delirium deck when you play Jund is Jace's Prodigy.
Yeah, the Jund deck, it runs a fine line between being an Emerge deck and a Delirium deck. In a lot of ways, it's both.
And you still have all these great green card filtering options, Vessel of Nascency, Traverse the Ovenwald, Grapple with the Past. Missing out on Jace is significant, though. It's another piece that makes your deck more consistent, so that is one place where Jund Delirium is losing a little bit.
I was going to say, with Kevin's first play was a Selfless Spirit on turn 3, and he was hoping to dodge Liliana, but that is not the case. Jeff has it on turn 3, and the 2/1 is knocked off the battlefield.
Liliana the Last Hope, I think, is a card that has exceeded everybody's first impression of what the card would actually do.
Well, a lot of decks just play it as this suspend 3 thing that sits around and eventually wins the game. When it actually kills a creature while taking up, this card is incredible.
Absolutely.
It's enough that some players in that situation won't even play the Selfless Spirit.
Yeah, you have to be mindful of that sort of thing.
Yeah, so Kevin's turn 4 is a Tireless Tracker and a Clue. Jeff immediately languishes it and passes the turn.
And I like the play of Languish there. There's some incentive to hang on to that Languish, try to get a little bit more value, though. In this window, you know there's not a collected company that's going to allow Kevin King to reset on this turn cycle.
It is Sylvan Advocate from Kevin. He leaves up 3 mana, does have a Spell Queller in hand. We go to Jeff, plays Evolving Wilds, but Liliana continues to work. It ticks up to 6. And he'll just pass the turn. You see Hoogland is sitting on a Kozilek's Return in his hand. He's, unlike a lot of these decks, he actually can just cast the card.
Yep. Already has his red mana online.
And King is going to make the Spell Queller anyway. Here's Kozilek's Return from Jeff. I like this play because it kills the Sylvan Advocate, thanks to that Liliana.
It's a combo.
And we might have even seen him cast Sylvan Advocate, cast the Kozilek's Return, even if it killed nothing there, just to get it around Spell Queller. The fact that Jeff got a creature for it was a big bonus.
Yes. And I really like the way that Jeff played that turn. Just, he sees the Spell Queller mana, he knows what that means, doesn't want to do anything, and then given that his Liliana was bubbling the Advocate there, King was incentivized to just cast the Queller.
Spell Queller attacked the Liliana down to 4. King passes. We go back over to Hoogland. The card he's probably most worried about here is Collected Company. If King has one on end step, it's really the way he dodges around all these things that Jeff is doing. It looks like we'll be Pilgrim's Eye for Hoogland. He had both Nissa Vastwoodseer and Pilgrim's Eye available to go get a land. He's going to go for the Eye first.
Pauper Cube All-Star, Pilgrim's Eye. The colorless Borderland Marauder, or Ranger rather.
The idea here is that next turn, if he uses the Nissa, then he can immediately flip her.
Yep, he's looking for that Planeswalker. He doesn't really care about the 2/2.
Liliana back to work. She goes to 5. The pass, we'll see what Kevin has on end step. Looks like he has a Queller and a Clue. No company, though, so he'll draw a card. Draws a Forest. Will he play another Flash 2/3? Looks like he's going to go for this Dromoka's Command instead. Counter and fight, and Jeff just at the ready to the slaughters away the Spell Queller. And
this Pilgrim's Eye is too important. But yeah, I like that. What he's really defending here is that Liliana the Last Hope. It has that 5 loyalty. Either the -2 or setting up the ultimate is kind of his game plan here.
Play will be Tracker from Kevin. Land, Clue. He keeps trying to fight back here, but Jeff is answering him at every turn right now. 20 life points for both players. Now here's Nissa Vastwoodseer from Jeff, looking to get land number 7. It's the Spell Queller from Kevin. It will exile away the Nissa. So no land yet for Jeff. But he's got another Nissa. So yes, how about the land?
That'll work.
Gets a forest, flips the creature.
And Jeff is in pretty good position to keep this Liliana around, at least for the one turn. He has multiple ways to deal with these creatures here. He can use the Liliana to make it so the Spell Queller has 0 power. He uses the Pilgrim Eye to chump block on the Tireless Tracker.
And Liliana shrinks down the Spell Queller. We're at Kingside. It's got facing down 2 Planeswalkers and a return in Jeff's yard.
And given that Jeff has this defense for his Planeswalkers, that's why I imagine we saw him plus the Nissa. I kind of like making the 4/4 on that turn, though he would be in trouble against specifically land, Crack Clue, Dramoka's Command.
So Dramoka's Command right now puts a counter on the Spell Queller and has it fight. Tireless Tracker will attack down the Nissa, and it'll get a 1/1 counter on it. Now, if the Spell Queller had a 1/1 counter on it, it actually could have attacked that turn.
Yes, now had a positive amount of power. And I don't really see a draw to hanging it back.
Jeff's going to look for some more action. Liliana -2 gets that Nissa. He's going to cast her again. You might wonder how many he's going to run out of forests. Jeff's list playing 6, so not likely.
That's another advantage of having all these green filter spells. Traverse the Ilvenwald specifically. Really easy to play high on forest and be able to find your mana very effectively, your mountain, your 4 swamps.
So Nissa back into Sage Animist, flips, finds Kozilek's return. Little small right now. All of that Kevin has gotten that tracker out of range.
Yeah, kind of mopey.
But Ishkana for Jeff. He does have Delirium, so he's going to get spiders. Let's check. He's got Pilgrim's Eye, land, Kozilek's return. Yeah, there should be some spiders on the way. And of that, noticing that here, we look at Jeff's hand and lands. I believe he's setting up for Emrakul, and she is not far away right now.
Yep, these spiders will do a good job of holding the fort.
He's got 5 card types in the graveyard. Jeff's deck capable of producing up to 6. Missing the enchantment, or actually 7 if he has the Planeswalker in there. But he's got 5. So Emrakul currently costing 8.
Very close to being able to cast that one.
Land from Kevin. Makes a clue token. This is what Ishkana wants to be doing in the deck. Just being a glorified wall. Takes Bant multiple turns to crash through it.
Yeah, Ishkana is not a hammer. It's really just the middle of the gameplay. There's not really a deck that plays it as the top of their curve. It hangs out and blocks so that you can start casting your Emrakul.
So the attack is Queller at Nissa, Tracker at Liliana. And Jeff's going to chump block the Queller and put a large amount of creatures in front of the Tracker. Kevin will play Archangel Avacyn. And we'll see if he cracks that clue before damage. Yeah, he's going to do that so he actually gets rid of the Ishkana proper. He wants to take care of the mother spider.
So Jeff already has 8 lands in play, and now with that Avacyn on the table, Emrakul, Kozilek's returns looking pretty good.
Yeah, and I think he has it in hand. He's got both his Planeswalkers. I cannot imagine that this won't just win the game immediately.
Especially, yeah, with the 2 Planeswalker kicker.
Yeah, 2 Planeswalkers. So he swings with both spiders. Yeah, that's a tell if I've ever seen one that I'm about to sweep the board. You see a chuckle from Jeff. He's like, yeah, I know.
May as well put the Emrakul on your forehead while you're making that attack.
No, I mean, I just got to do some damage.
Got to get something going. You're still at 20.
So you see here, 5 card types from Jeff. Doesn't even need the Ishkana in there. It's already got it covered, but it's going to cost 8. Artifact, creature, sorcery, instant land. Here is Emrakul, the Promised End. She is going to trigger the Kozilek's return. So 5 damage to all of Kevin's cards. They all hit the graveyard. Jeff gets back a Nissa, gets a forest, gets Kevin's next turn. just does whatever he feels like right about now.
Gets to play for both players.
Yeah.
Already super ahead on the table.
This one should be wrapping up in about one turn. It's gonna Liliana to get more cards. Mills 2. How about that Ishkana? That was a pretty nice card. Yeah, I'll take that.
King must be a fan of watching Jeff play.
I wouldn't let him see my hand anymore. We're done. Plays Nissa. Draws Nissa, yeah.
Jeff can even just cast Nissa and take a look at King's deck now. I like conceding to this.
Yeah, like Jeff can play Lumbering Falls. He's going to cast Nissa. He's not going to find a forest for him. Kevin, he's just looking at your deck. He's just looking at your deck list. Now, granted, there's nothing. He's not going to find anything that different in here. Okay, 2 Avacens. Now he knows that.
Can Dermoka's command put a counter on your opponent's creatures? Because he can't fight the Emrakul.
It's just
because it has
unnecessary.
protection from instants. But he can fight the Nissas.
Yeah. Target creature. Yeah, the Nissas are going to fight, and Kevin's going to put a counter on the wrong one.
Even if he couldn't put the counter, he could just make the 2 fight, and he's fine with that. But this is even better.
Jeff's going to grapple. Mills. Oh, another Kozilek's return. In case he doesn't win from this board, he'll get back Pilgrim's Eye. Liliana added to the graveyard. That's the 7th card type in Jeff's graveyard now. All right, Kevin's going to keep fighting.
Well, it looks bad, team, but hear me out.
Here's Lumbering Falls and a pass.
It's not lethal yet. I'm only getting hit for 16.
Here's a swing for 16. Kevin down to 3. Jeff's going to use his Planeswalkers some more. Play a spider. Make some spiders. All right. So Jeff's going to win this on the next turn. There's not really a draw in Kevin's deck that stops that here. This felt very one-sided.
Sure did. Jeff's draw lined up very well here, and King was not firing off a bunch of collected companies, which is really what he needs to be doing in this matchup.
So game 1, over to #1 player here, Hoogland. Yeah, and just at every turn, right? Selfless Spirit, here's Liliana. When Kevin finally got a tracker outside of range of Kozilek's return, well, here's an Ishkana. We're going to look at the sideboards. We'll start with Kevin King. A lot of 2-ofs, 7 of them to be precise. Elder Deep Fiends, Jaces, Tamios, Declaration Stones, Clash of Wills, Ojutai's Commands, Negates, and an Evolutionary Leap.
Any or all of these counterspells seem really good here to keep Jeff off of his plan of interacting with you. And I also like Tamio, Field Researcher. The 4 slot is really where his deck has some play in this matchup. He needs to be hitting the collected companies and or the Tamios to keep pace with the kind of value that Jeff is generating.
So Clash of Wills, Ojutai's Command, Tamio, Field Researcher. Is there enough removal in Jeff's deck to go to something like Evolutionary Leap?
There's an argument for it. Yeah, I could see that one coming in for sure. He's up to all that Kozilek's return shenanigans, and he's pretty good at finding it, and a lot of 1-for-1s on top of it.
Don't like to see that. On Jeff's side, we have 2 Chandras. We have a 2nd copy of Emrakul. He's got 3 Transgresses, 2 Pick the Brains, 3 Call the Bloodlines. That's something we saw added at the Invitational to fight the blue-red deck. Probably not using here. The 4th Fiery Impulse, the 4th Languish, a Den Protector, and then a 2nd copy of Murder.
And I think that Jeff, we're going to see his deck getting a little lower to the ground here. Transgress the Mind, quite powerful against the Collected Company deck. Should hit almost anything that he wants to take from King's hand. The extra removal spells, Fiery Impulse and Murder certainly can be coming in here. They deal with almost all the threats that King is representing. I think that Chandra, we could see maybe 1 copy. It's a little slow for this matchup. There's windows where drawing it is excellent, and Jeff's deck has enough positive interaction that you can maybe play for one of those windows, though it can backfire pretty heavily against a collected company.
Yeah, my first thought is I'm not sure how much he wants Chandra, but then if you look at that, Jeff's registered them in his sideboard, and if it's not for this matchup, what is it for?
It's good against something like Shaheen Sarani's Esper control deck.
Okay.
It's going to be great there. Against really most of the control decks in the format, having something like Chandra, or maybe even the mid-range decks that aren't collected company. It's solid if you can find a good window for it in this matchup.
All right, well, that much makes sense. So Hoogland right now off buys the #1 player 2-0 as we start Season 3. This is our 2nd open of the season. here in Richmond. Now, we have the full Season 3 schedule if you're going to want to make your way out to the tour and play. Every month, we're going to have a Standard and Modern Open. So starting this month, you see Standard in Richmond. In 2 weeks, we'll be down in Orlando to play Modern. We make our way in October. We have a Standard Open in Indianapolis, a Modern Open in Milwaukee. So we're in the middle part of the country. We also have regionals that weekend, which we'll tell you more about later on. November, we have Standard in Knoxville, Modern in Columbus, and then we have our one Legacy Open of the event. So for those of you who like the really powerful formats, we have that, and that's going to be November 5th and 6th in Baltimore, so you're going to want to make it out to that. And of course, the season ends with our Season 3 Invitational, and that one's earlier than it has been in the past, so keep in mind of that on the calendar. It's the very first weekend in December, so December 2nd and 4th. It's a Standard Modern split, as is the case of our Invitationals, and that one's going to be in Atlanta. So a lot of great events coming up here in Season 3. Now, we also have new playmats for the season, which depends on which format of the event you enter. So the first one here, we have Dark Salvation. This is the X spell here from Eldritch Moon. That's available for any participant in our Standard Opens or Standard Classics. Now we have, for a Modern Open and Modern Classics, we have the Modern Standby of Steel Overseer. And we also have a Legacy one, but we're going to go straight to the match here. The players are ready for game number 2. This is King versus Hoogland. Sylvan Advocate on the play for Kevin. This time he's got a 2-drop on the play. May change the context of the game.
Yep, that's where he wants to be. He wants to be curving 2, 3, 4, maybe even skipping on 3. If it's a Spell Queller and Jeff casts the spell, well, that's just dandy.
Yeah, the difference between a turn 2 Sylvan Advocate and a turn 3 Selfless Spirit is just, it's pretty pronounced.
Absolutely.
Jeff, a very good hand for fighting here. He's going to go ahead and transgress the mind to start. Looks like he has some multiple transgresses, fiery impulses, and a Liliana to back it up. So we see Tracker, Collected Company, Clash of Wills, and 2 lands from Kevin King.
Can I take them all?
Yeah, this is great.
So, interestingly, Counterspell, no blue mana yet available for King.
Right.
Collected Company looks to be significantly more problematic than Tracker. Jeff's got a bunch of fiery impulses.
Yeah, it's going to go ahead and take care of that. His hand is very well set up for 1-for-1s. There is a blue mana, though. It's a copy of Prairie Stream for Kevin King. Swings with Advocate. We'll see if he just runs that Tracker out there. His hand is so light on action. Yeah, he plays the Prairie Stream and then passes, leaving up Clash of Wills.
The way that Jeff takes Collected Company there, it suggests no second discard spell. Because a lot of the times to just take the Tracker can come down the next turn. There's also always the argument for casting Tracker when you still have a land drop that turn to get the free clue.
Kevin draws Spell Queller. Jeff with no plays. Now, Jeff did have the Liliana, but of note, he only has single black right now. Advocate's going to swing. Kevin just continues to play lands. I really like this here. Not letting Jeff fiery impulse down that Tireless Tracker. He's going to wait. He'd have to have 6 lands to play around it, I think. Yeah, and maybe he'll just do that. He'll swing. Jeff's to 13. Jeff missed a land drop.
If he has 5 lands in play and a 6th land is Evolving Wilds.
Love it. I really like how Kevin's playing this game. And you might say he's just doing a bunch of nothing. He's forced Jeff into playing his cards terribly. Jeff end step, fiery impulses the Sylvan Advocate just to get Delirium, or no, Spell Mastery.
Well, I can discard this now, or I can discard this at my end step.
But he has to do it, because if he waits one more turn, Kevin plays land 6, and then he's never killing the Sylvan Advocate.
Yep.
And he'll pass. He's holding on upkeep. He's going to go ahead and fire Impulse. This is a really good play by Jeff. It plays around Spell Queller nicely.
Forces the Queller to happen now, though.
Right.
Can also just cast that Clash of Wills he's been sitting on. Either way, taps him down for this turn.
And Jeff, remember, he knows about Clash of Wills. So he knows that if Kevin pushes the issue, this isn't going to work.
And with Jeff missing land drops, I like holding on to the Clash of Wills and casting this Spell Queller.
And that's what he's going to do. Jeff fetches with Evolving Wilds. Now Kevin draws, but he does have land 6, and it's a blue source. Yavimaya Coast. Here's a swing for 4.
I was going to say that's the one thing that could punish him if Jeff was able to untap and languish, but that blue source, that's huge.
This is an impressive game from Kevin, and it's hard to see because what Kevin has done is nothing. He just wasn't playing any of his cards. And you said, well, that doesn't seem very impressive, but it's so good here. Jeff's going to languish, but he knows about Clash of Wills. Just doesn't really have a choice. Yeah, see, There we go. Clash takes care of it.
And it's not always the most exciting skill, but patience is one of the most important things in high-level Magic.
Draw another spell queller from King. He's got Hoogland down to 2. He's going to take this game. And he did it with such few resources. He has cast 3 cards this game. An Advocate, and then a turn 6 Queller and a turn 6 Clash of Wills. Impressive stuff, and we're on to game 3.
And Jeff had a reasonable mix, missing on that land, not having another cheap spell that he could actually profitably cast. Casting that Fiery Impulse to no effect, far from ideal.
More than reasonable. Okay, Jeff's opening hand is 3 lands, Transgress the Mind, Fiery Impulse, Liliana. Of all the hands Jeff can assemble, this is really high on the list. Now, I know he was missing the second black, and that was huge, but the spell quality in that opening hand is going to defeat a ton of Bant decks.
Right. And if he had something like a second discard spell, or maybe if King cast a Duskwatch Recruiter, suddenly we might have had a very different game.
Right, turn 2, King plays a Recruiter, Jeff impulses it, untaps, transgresses, now his other impulse is online, he's got a Liliana, this is just, he's doing everything.
So what I'm hearing is that they should make Lightning Bolt evergreen and standard. I think that would promote healthy gameplay.
So we talked about our Season 3 schedule last round. Now remember, the new season means we had our Invitational 2 weeks ago, which means we have a new token for you. So the last token that we had, our Season 1 Invitational winner, was Max McVitie. You see his token here. That one is actually still available. He won it with Thraben Inspector in his Mono-White Humans list. So if you want to get that one, you're going to have to do it soon because we now can debut our next token. This is coming on September 23rd. This is the Liam Lonergan token, your Season 2 champion. He was on the tournament 11-0 in the Invitational with Elves. He won it with Modern, with Elves, and of course he has chosen to be the Elf Warrior, featured with Dwinnen's Elite in his deck. And this is some pretty great art once again.
And Lonergan, I believe, is a Commander fan, possibly making this with some Imperious Perfects as well.
So this is art by Andrea Radek, and this exclusive token will be available to all Open participants and Classic participants starting on September 23rd, so later this month. So you're going to want to get this one by coming out to some of our events in Season 3, and this is pretty great. I'll tell you, for the kind of decks that I like to play that have cards like Elvish Promenade, I would need to play a lot of events to get enough tokens. When I play an Elf deck, I need 20 tokens, because that's what I'm going to do with my Elf cards.
Cast a couple Gilt Leaf Ambush, not in a 60-card format.
I was like, ooh, that was a good find. Yeah,
that was more of a 40-card thing.
That's the 3-mana instant. You clash, and if you win it, they get Death Touch.
Yeah, you make 2 1/1 Elf Warriors, and if you win a clash, they're Death Touch.
I like that card. That card was very strong in draft.
Yeah, and I like to play to it where if you're winning the clash, you don't get ambushed too hard. But if they win the clash, they ambush you with Death Touch.
Game 3 here between Hoogland and King. Hoogland on the play. He's on a Mulda 6. Starts with Smoldering Marsh and then a Llanowar Waste. So this time his mana's looking good. We're going to see from King, Jace Vryn's Prodigy. Jeff will grapple with the past, taking 1 to do it. Liliana, Emrakul, Transgress. No choice here but to take Emrakul. We'll see if he was fishing for a land.
Either way, finding Emrakul at this stage in the game, probably not what he was looking for.
Evolving Wilds. He does have Planeswalker Instant Sorcery, so we're already up to 3 on the discount. 4 when you factor in the fact that he drew Evolving Wilds for the turn. So sooner than you might think. But on Kevin's side, he'll get to keep the Jace, and that's big. Not to mention, he's got some big plays on 4 mana, both Collected Company and Ojutai's Command in King's hand.
Jeff's going to want to find a Kozilek's Return to pair with that Emrakul for when that does end up getting cast, and cross his fingers that King does not have the Summary Dismissal.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Kozilek's Return would even be good on the front side.
Just clean up this Jace right now.
Yeah, absolutely. A discard of Yapamaya Coast from King. He'll play Fortified Village, showing Prairie Stream. See if he has a play here. And he does. Nissa Vastwood Seer finds him a forest. So yeah, Kozilek's Return. Can Jeff do it?
It's looking mighty good.
Draws Evolving Wilds.
He's got a Languish.
I think that's his only land. So instead, it's going to be Murder.
That is less than ideal.
Less exciting.
Even given the cards in his hand, that doesn't feel great.
Yeah, chooses to take care of Jace, leaving Kevin the Nissa. And now Kevin's going to be untapping with 4 lands. We talked about how he has Ojutai's Command and Collected Company. This is the really scary part, when you're a control deck against Bant Company and they just start passing with 4 mana up. It's miserable. They have counter spells and they have instant speed, 6 power worth of creatures. It's just, ugh.
Yeah, for a deck that is so heavily creatures, it sure has a lot of dirty tricks.
Jeff down to 17 from the attack. Kevin going to go over more value here. Plays Tireless Tracker and Evolving Wilds, immediately getting 2 clues. Sure. Invites Jeff to languish his board. He's just fine.
He might have picked up Kozilek's Return here. I believe he did. And I see.
Yeah, all right. Kozilek's Return for Jeff.
Woof. How's that tracker looking now?
That's good.
And Jeff likely would have played Kozilek's Return if he had it last turn. So King's play is largely saying, I don't think that you have it. And then there it was off the top.
Keep in mind the Emrakul, the Delirium count currently at 4 for Hoogland. We have Instant, Planeswalker, Land, and Sorcery. But no land for Jeff, so he's still a lot of mana sources off. He's 5 away. Land to go from King. He has Company, Ojutai's Command, and those clues. He's got a lot. Not going to do anything until Jeff's end step.
Yep. Could be representing even Archangel Avacyn with the mana represented.
Ishkana for Jeff. This is not going to resolve at all.
I would not like to let that resolve.
And this is love it. Ojutai's Command getting back Jace. It's just dirty.
And 5 cards in the graveyard.
Yeah, that seems great. Go back to King. Gets on tap with his Planeswalker. Now Jeff is still at 17. If you're a Kevin King fan, you can't love that, but.
And he does have quite a lot of lands yet.
Yeah, plays Fortified Village, showing Forest, 2 more lands in his hand. But he does have Collected Company in his hand, so.
And the Jace will filter away that Forest, help him get some more live action.
Yeah, Jace is going to loot here. Draws Kevin an Avacyn. He discards Yavimaya Coast. Jace flips. What I like about Bant Company is they have so much card advantage that, sure, they flood out, but look at what Kevin can do here. He's got 2 clues. He's got an Avacyn. He's got a Company. He's going to use those lands.
Yeah, exactly. No shortage of things to do.
Jeff, land number 6, passes. He's getting close to that Emrakul, now up to 5 card types for her. So only 2 lands away.
And this is looking like a juicy Collected Company.
End step Collected Company for King's good. It's Tireless Tracker, Sylvan Advocate. He already has 6 lands. This is a lot of power worth of creatures.
And Jeff has Languish in hand. The Advocate already has 5 toughness. He has 2 clues and a land drop to make, so that can get up to 5 for the Tractor.
Yeah, the Languish isn't even going to matter here if Kevin doesn't want it to.
This is real bad news for Jeff.
Fortified Village again, showing a land. If he makes another move here, he's missed the clue trigger, and if he makes another game action, he won't get it. There's so many triggers and just nuts and bolts going on in these decks. But Jeff's hope is Emrakul at this point, right? Like I said, he has 5 card types, 6 lands. Does not play anything like Shrine of the Forsaken Gods.
Emrakul, the last hope.
Yeah, aptly named here. Here's a swing from Kevin. It's for 8. Now crack that last clue. Now it's a swing for 9. Jeff will go to 8. Jace pluses up. Now, as you mentioned, because he didn't make that clue, Languish would kill the Tracker here.
And if he has something like a Fiery Impulse to combine with it, he can take care of the Advocate as well.
But he doesn't have anything. Jeff will scoop up the cards. Game and match, Kevin King. Bant Company, a lot of decks come to the table saying, with good plans for Bant Company, but the scary part is sometimes Bant Company wins anyway.